Alright, we're back working on Project Marsha. We're continuing down the driver's side repairs on this car, and I'm going to go ahead and fix the wheel tubs right now first, and then move on to our trunk extension drop-off before we tackle the outer quarter skin repair. So again, you know, I said it in the other video, this car just needs to be solid again with no holes, gaping holes in it. We're not looking for a concourse restoration, so a lot of these repairs are going to be quick repairs just to do that, make everything solid again. So what we're going to do with this, it's really the floor pan and where the inner wheelhouse come together at that's bad. And first, I've been working on this a little bit, and I've got a piece made up to go in here. We're just going to do a lap joint just to get a piece on here and get this hole covered up. We'll weld it up, we'll spot weld it along here, and then we'll seal it with some seam sealer, and that'll give us a good solid bottom back to our inner wheelhouse. We'll do the same for the outer wheelhouse here where it comes around and meets the trunk extension, so we can get those pieces back solid again, and continue on with fixing Marsha's rust repairs. Okay, so I cut away what was left of the trunk lip where it attaches to the back side of this, and I've got my piece set in here, and what I'm going to do is just start on this end and work my way around and tack it, you know, and push it. As I push it, it's kind of set to where it needs to be. As you can see, it'll sit in there just where I want it at. Alright, well, that's got that tacked in. Yeah, like I said, again, this really isn't too structural here, so tack welds will be fine. I don't have to stitch weld it all the way across, and we'll cover that seam with seam sealer on the inside and here on the outside once everything's done, and then this will get re-undercoated so it will seal everything up so there won't be any more water getting in the trunk from this wheel well. Alright, so I'm going to make a piece for the outer wheelhouse now, the lower like 2 inches or so of this, so that this will be fixed just like the inner one. And I've got a piece I started to make. This piece has a lip that the trunk pan and the trunk extension piece would attach to along here, and then they were spot welded together. And then it folds around, and that's what meets the quarter panel. So I've got my put a break in it here, so I've got my flange there, and then I cut a little section out there and bent this over so that I've got my flange there where it's going to meet the quarter panel. Now this outer wheelhouse has quite a hard bend in it. Now normally with a slight bend I can use my shrinker and just work it around and I can get a nice curve to go into the metal. But this is just too tight and it'd be too time consuming to try and do that with the shrinker set. So what I'm going to do is I've marked here the length from here to here, and I'm just going to start making some pie wedge cuts along here so that I can bend this and form my curve that I need. So I'm going to move the camera, I'm going to go over to the bench and do this at the bench where it's a little bit easier for me to work at than standing here at the car. Alright, yeah, I know my bench is a mess. You can tell I have kids that are here a lot of times. So anyhow, one way to bend your metal when you've got a flange and you don't have a shrinker is you can do pie cuts in your flange, and that'll allow you to start to bend the metal around. And then you just kind of want to work it. As you can see now it starts to bend around and the ends come in together. Do another one here. Now I'm starting to get my curve that I need for it to go around. It's a pretty tight curve, so I think let's see. Actually, that might do it. Remember, this isn't going to be exact, but it's going to accomplish what we want, and that's just to get the trunk where it's not got any open holes, and there's going to be water going in the back if that Kevin happens to be out in the car and it rains. Keep dirt and debris out of the trunk. So that's what we want to accomplish, is just to be able to make some pieces up to cover up to fix all the rust holes. I'm not concerned about them being seen. They're going to be seen. People are going to point and look and say, whatever. It is what it is. But this is also a good way that you can take care of this stuff at home. If you're on a tight budget, all you need is some scrap metal pieces. You can make up patches. You can get everything solid again. You'll have a good solid ride. So what if you can see them? If you're driving the car is meant to have fun in, and you don't want to have a trunk full of dirt and rocks all the time. Alright, continuing on with the work back here on the rear quarter section and the trunk drop off here on our project Marsha. Last piece I made was in here. This is a week or so later. I've been doing some work on the Mercedes. But we need to get this lower part of the trunk extension repaired so we can go ahead and get our quarter patch panel fit. Because this will be harder to repair once this is on, so I wanted to get all this finished up first. And again, not going for concourse, we're going for fix the holes, get it solid again so we don't have any sheet metal flopping around and letting water fly into the trunk. So we're just making some quick patch panels on these areas that are rotted. And this one here had a hole in here, had some rot in here, so I just made a quick patch piece and lap welded it over top the front edge of here. Again, it's not critical because there is a space in between here and the trunk drop off section where this is not going to interfere with anything at all. It's just dead space, so that allows me to just go ahead and lap weld this on, get it back solid again. We got a little bit of movement here which will go away once we get our patch panel put in and spot welded along this flange area here. So what I need to do is, this lower section has a lot of small holes in it and tears from where the spot welds came apart. So we're going to go ahead and replace this so we've got a nice solid piece to weld our outer quarter panel piece to. And I just cut a piece out of, again, the quarter skin that was bought. We got a full quarter skin that we're not using, so we have plenty of extra sheet metal. This already had a bend in it for the top. It was this top section up here. So this is going to go on here like this. We're just going to do a repair section in here, and again we're going to trim off the bottom section here, leave a small, maybe a 1/4 inch of this original material left that we can lap this over top of. I've got a line here where my piece fits, so we'll get this cut off and then just lap weld this over top of the original trunk drop off, and that'll give us a nice solid bottom where the piece will get welded to. So let's go ahead and cut this off. Alright, so now, again, this is our piece that we're going to put up on here. It's just going to sit on here, like so. And it'll get lap welded on top of there. Again, it'll allow me to, I'm going to clamp this on here. So I can trace the bottom part of this hole and transfer it to here so I can cut this out so the plug can get put back in here. Alright, so what I'm going to do is just trace out the bottom part of this opening for this hole. Alright, now we've got it matched up. So now that that matches up, I can go ahead and grind this area here, get it ready for welding, clamp this back on, go ahead and weld this piece back up on there. Alright, so I got my piece fit in here, and I've got it tacked along here, and that's all we're going to do is just tack welds along there. It's good and solid. It's not going anywhere. I've welded these end seams up good, so they're good and solid. So the next step I've got to do is just dress some of these welds up, get them a little bit cleaned up, and then we'll seal this with some seam sealer along here, just in case some moisture gets down from this being a convertible. There may be water that gets in the trunk. We don't want it to get down behind this seam because that metal is bare back there. So we'll seal this with seam sealer, give it a shot of some weld-through primer, so that when we put our trunk or our quarter panel patch piece on, this will be all ready to go for plug welds along the bottom here. And that'll leave this whole section back here fixed. Now I've still got to do some repairs to the top of this trunk drop-off section, but we can do that from inside the trunk. There's more than enough room for me to work inside of this trunk in this car. I just wanted to get this fixed up here so that we can get this piece on, get this quarter panel on the car primed. Okay, so I've got my panel rough cut that's got to go on here. Again, these panels they're something to work with. They're not great. Some of the angles are off a little bit. And they do leave it long here, so I can take my rear edge and put a fold in it so it folds over into the back like the original does. And I've got to do the same thing on the front part that I did with the front patch. I have to put the body line into the wheel opening arch and have it fade out. So I've got to do that yet. But as you can see, I'll take this off of here. I've got everything seam sealed. All my seam sealer done. I've got everything primed so that when this goes together, it'll be protected. So I'm going to go ahead and work on making this panel fit a little bit better, and then I'll bring you back when I'm ready to start, when I've got it fit good and I'm ready to start welding it in. Okay, so I'm still working on fitting this piece in here, and I went and I cut my front section where it wraps around inside the wheel lip opening to get that where I needed it. And I had been guessing where it was going to land and trimming this. I should have waited to trim this until I had done that front part. Got ahead of myself. But as you can see, I'm a little short now to fold over my back part here. Yes, Ashton?
I can draw on this piece of paper.
Yes, you can draw on that piece of paper.
Oh, why is this on here for?
Don't worry, you can have that.
Yay!
Anyhow, so as you can see, just a little short. Good thing about working with metal, if it's short, you can make another piece. You can put it in here, you can grind the welds, you can make it work. So we'll just have to make another piece up for the end here to close this in, and everything will be good to go there. This piece is just wanting to not fit too well. It's just not a great piece, but like I said before, it's all we got to work with. So we'll go ahead and I need to draw a line across here and then trim this down a little bit so I can make my flange, and we'll slip this underneath this original quarter, and then we'll go ahead and fit the rest of it.
Look at you, Papa. Look at you. This one?
Okay, so I'm still working on fitting this piece in here, and I went and I cut my front section where it wraps around inside the wheel lip opening to get that where I needed it. And I had been guessing where it was going to land and trimming this. I should have waited to trim this until I had done that front part. Got ahead of myself. But as you can see, I'm a little short now to fold over my back part here. Yes, Ashton?
I can draw on this piece of paper.
Yes, you can draw on that piece of paper.
Oh, why is this on here for?
Don't worry, you can have that.
Yay!
Anyhow, so as you can see, just a little short. Good thing about working with metal, if it's short, you can make another piece. You can put it in here, you can grind the welds, you can make it work. So we'll just have to make another piece up for the end here to close this in, and everything will be good to go there. This piece is just wanting to not fit too well. It's just not a great piece, but like I said before, it's all we got to work with. So we'll go ahead and I need to draw a line across here and then trim this down a little bit so I can make my flange, and we'll slip this underneath this original quarter, and then we'll go ahead and fit the rest of it.
Look at you, Papa. Look at you. This one?
Okay, so I'm still working on fitting this piece in here, and I went and I cut my front section where it wraps around inside the wheel lip opening to get that where I needed it. And I had been guessing where it was going to land and trimming this. I should have waited to trim this until I had done that front part. Got ahead of myself. But as you can see, I'm a little short now to fold over my back part here. Yes, Ashton?
I can draw on this piece of paper.
Yes, you can draw on that piece of paper.
Oh, why is this on here for?
Don't worry, you can have that.
Yay!
Anyhow, so as you can see, just a little short. Good thing about working with metal, if it's short, you can make another piece. You can put it in here, you can grind the welds, you can make it work. So we'll just have to make another piece up for the end here to close this in. All right. No, don't bang. Don't bang the jack right now, okay? All right, thank you. Okay, so I've got this panel trimmed up. I've cut the top of this down and I've put a flange in it. It's going to take some work to get this to meet the quarter panel here for welding, but I want to start tacking this in, and I want to make sure that I get this area here where it needs to be, so that my body crease that I put in it here, the body line that continues down from here, matches up, and that our opening matches up. So everything is close here. It's going to take a little bit of work. I'm going to start back here where it's most even and work it forwards and pull it in as I go. And then I'll worry about how I'm going to pull this out. I'll probably put the car down, take this side marker light out back here, and then I can reach in here with a pair of long vice grips that I have. And then the bottom will be easy. I'm just going to go along the bottom of the trunk drop off and the lower portion of this patch panel and just surface weld it. I'm not going to worry about popping holes in it and plug welding it and all that fancy stuff. It's just got to be attached, and that's what we're going for today. So let's go ahead and get this lined up again here and start welding. Again, this weld up here in the front is a butt joint. So these two pieces are just right up against each other. There's no flange for doing a lap joint. All right, that leaves that attached at the front, and from what I can see, my body line that I put in there lines up nice. Our wheel arch curve is perfect. So really all we got to do now is just clamp this along the bottom. And then we'll work, well, I'm going to work my way down along the bottom. I'm going to get the bottom welded up first, and then I'll have to put the car down, and then we'll come back and do the top part. Alright, I just wanted to bring you back. I got this patch panel all welded in. I made my piece for the end here, and this actually worked out better, I think, than trying to fold this end over. I was able to make a short 90-degree piece and then put it in my shrinker stretcher and put the right curvature in it for the back part of here, and it really stiffened this up. So I like the way that worked out. Now I've got all this welded in, taking my time so that I didn't warp the panels. This is all finished up here, and inside of here I've done seam sealer around my previous patches in the front and the back. I know you can't see, that's too dark. So I'm going to go ahead and get these welds ground down, get the rest of this quarter up to this upper body line here sanded, and then I'm going to go ahead and epoxy prime this quarter from there into the door panel, our previous repair, and hit this section in here so that everything is protected. And then Marsha's going to go and take a little bit of rest outside until I've got time to work on it again. Okay, so the time has come. I've got all my sheet metal repairs done on this side of the quarter panel. Got this all welded in, welds ground down, ready for body work. There were a couple small little creases right here, and I used my my stud welder and slide hammer to pull these out, and they came out really nice. This one here is going to need very little body filler, same with this one. So we're going to go ahead and get a couple coats of epoxy primer put on this quarter panel and inside the wheel wells where I made those repairs, and the bottom side of the trunk drop off where I made the repairs at. And that'll leave this ready for body work to be done on it at a later date, and then we're going to put Marsha outside. Well, there we have it. The first bit of work completed on Marsha. Got this side of the quarter panel fixed up, primer on it. She's ready for body work. We're going to put Marsha back outside. I've got some other things that I need to get to at the moment, but we'll have Marsha back inside real soon. Hopefully these videos were helpful to you at home who may be working with a project that Some parts aren't readily available or the quality of parts aren't that great. How you can manipulate these parts to make them look right and be usable on your vehicle. We'll see you again soon. Don't forget, follow Project Marsha on MoparConnectionMagazine.com, where you can get daily articles every day in your email box totally free. Thanks for watching.